Hi everybody. I just wanted to say a few words about an issue that is concerning a lot of people at the moment, and especially if you're following social media, you'll see a lot of postings and a lot of comments that are related to racism and a lot of people with racist attitudes. And I just wanted to say a few words to demonstrate the utter irrationality of racism. So just to define what racism is usually defined as a belief that race is the primary determinant of human traits, capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of one race over another. So this means that a racist is a person who shows or feels discrimination or prejudice against people of other races because he or she thinks that he is superior. Now, of course, no one denies that there are no racial differences. I mean, people have a different body form. Some people of some groups are stronger than the other. Some perhaps have different types of mental capacities in relation to the place that their ancestors lived for thousands of years, but that doesn't make any one race superior to another. And racists tend to forget that we're talking about human beings, and as human beings we all have far more in common with each other than anything that divides us. That having said, now let me play devil's advocate for a moment, and just in order to refute some of the things the racists are saying. So let's just assume, which is of course something I don't believe, but just let's assume for a moment that the racists are somehow right and that the European race is somehow superior to, say, the African race. Now, in that case, racists are blaming the immigrants from Africa for coming to Europe. But this is totally irrational, because if, as the racists claim, the Africans are inferior, then it's ridiculous and irrational to blame them for coming to Europe. If they are inferior, then it would be like blaming the animals in the zoo for escaping from their cages, when in fact it is the zookeeper who would be to blame for letting them out because he didn't shut the cages properly. Now, of course, that's not something I believe, but I'm just highlighting the flaw in reasoning from the racists, because it's the same with an issue that racists tend to focus on, which is immigration. Now, if we have problems with mass immigration, which people do also who are not racist, then we shouldn't be blaming the migrants as the racists do, but rather we should be looking at the policies of the politicians who produced the policies that led to the mass movements of people. So we should be looking at that and not blaming the people that are coming. Another thing that racists claim is that the only solution to all the people that have come here and that are coming here is some kind of drastic measure, like some kind of genocide, killing people, or forced deportation that we saw many times in the 20th century, you know, like what the Nazis did and what the Turks did to the Armenians. And this also totally demonstrates the irrationality of the racists, because if, as the racists claim, we are somehow superior to those that are coming, then how can we be superior if our so-called solution to this problem involves death or extreme suffering? It's just completely irrational. So, you know, racism, just to finish off, is a form of fanaticism. And fanaticism of whatever type is irrational. Whether it's racism or religious fanaticism, any kind of fanaticism is just inherently irrational. Okay, there's one exception, that we can be fanatic in our opposition to fanaticism. Thanks for listening.